Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and Beyond. This is a platform where you're going to meet all of our hidden talents in Zimbabwe and beyond, and interesting people from the alternative communities and other walks of life. And today we have one of those amazing people with us. Her name is Sara Cloete. So hello Sara and welcome.
Hi Tan, welcome to my office. Here it is, all beauteousness of it, in my little back garage where we hide.
Oh, it looks very warm and cozy and welcoming.
Yes.
So Sara, I just want to read out your bio here. So you are a nutritional psychology coach, trained at the Institute of Psychology of Eating in Boulder, Colorado. You're also a best-selling author of a book, The Girl in the Patchwork Dress, and you're also the founder of myvibes.com, which is a directory database for vibratory healers, being plants, minerals, and humans. It's a very strange, fascinating way to put things. Can we just start there, Sara, with what is My Vibes and what is it all about?
Thanks, Tan. That's such a great bio, such a good introduction. I sound amazing.
You are.
I hope I live up to your expectations. My Vibes is around an ethos that I carry. The ethos is that we are all vibratory beings and we live in a vibratory universe. And therefore, my vibes, that was the kind of it actually started off as Mother Africa Vibes. And when I was trying to buy the website, my web designer kept saying to me, you can't get this, and it's, people are not going to be able to find it, blah, blah, blah. And so I just said, well, let's just shorten it. Let's just make it My Vibes, because that sounds African as well. And that was obviously well and truly open. So it was myvibes.com. That's how it was born. And really it's about all of my understanding of how the vibratory universe works and how we can align ourselves with the vibration of the universe. Because I believe that there was a saying by, I think it might have been Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein said that everything is energy. It can't not be. And if you're in alignment with that energy, you are in alignment with your purpose in life. And I think there's a lot of things that we do as humans, not understanding this ethos and this premise about the foundation of who we are, which we need to delve into and kind of start understanding and play with. And there's just so much to it. I mean, everything around us is a cycle, it's a pattern, it's a vibratory pattern. And the website is really about that. I sell products through Brookfields in Zimbabwe. The products are just high vibratory superfoods, African always, because I'm very local. So
I just want to interrupt you there. Sorry, there's something going on with your sound. You want to maybe just come a little bit closer, because when you come in closer, I'll pull your...
You can hear me better.
I can hear you better. You seem to be going up and down a little bit.
Okay. Cool. So yes, so I have a product line, and the product line was actually born after the unnameable virus arrived, because I figured out, I know all of this stuff about immunity and vibration, and it's applicable in this situation. So let's just talk about it. No one has to agree with it, but talking about it helps it to kind of settle in people's minds. So that's when the website was born as well.
Okay, so the website is fairly new and also came out of the lockdown, if we call it that.
Yes.
Okay.
So the whole thing came out of lockdown, really.
Okay.
Obviously, I was doing it before, but
So when you put there, it's vibratory healers being plants, minerals, and humans. Is it a directory of people like humans that are healers, that or teachers that can
Yes.
can give people advice? Also, the different plants you could use, the minerals that you can use, all of that.
Yes. So in a vibratory universe, we are going to be drawn towards the vibrations that we are aligning with. That's just a natural thing. It's a natural phenomenon. No one can change it. It's just a law of the universe. So, you know, sometimes you'll be looking for, you have an ailment and you'll be looking for a plant that has a resonance or a vibration that allows you to use it and correct the vibration in your body. Can be a part, and that's the plant and the ailment database. And then the human healers are obviously people who you're drawn to. It doesn't have to be a consultant per se, and I feel like you'll always be drawn to somebody who gives you the right information at the right time anyway. But it's just a handy little list of people who I personally use myself, who I can know what they're talking about. And I have personally experienced progress in some form or shape or form with the people. So it's not just an open kind of any consultant can come in. It is always be based on my personal experience of something, because I think that's really important.
Yeah. So these are like your tried and tested remedies and people. Okay.
And then also on there's lots of recipes of vibrational food and how to make your own DIY cosmetics using high vibration, stuff from the kitchen, instead of having to use all the chemicals and things that we end up using because we don't know any better.
Okay. Now this website is up and running already. Is that correct?
It is. The other thing you can do on there, which is awesome, is you can check out what is going on in our local environment. So women's wilderness retreats and sunrise dancing and all that kind of stuff I've tried, stuff I've done, stuff I know works. All those lists are all on there as well.
Oh, lovely. Good. It's been a long time. We need some kind of website for our community. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun and useful, hopefully.
Good. Well, I'll put the links to all of that in this below this conversation, so people can look all of that up. And also now, I know that you wanted to talk a bit about hydration and water. But before we do that, I wanted to just ask you, Nutritional Psychology Coach. Just tell us a little bit about that.
So my training as a nutritional psychology coach is interesting. I decided to train in the psychology of eating because for a very specific reason. I just thought, we all basically know what to eat. So why aren't we doing it? It was just this kind of a aha moment. I was like, you know what, I've got this choice, and I've got this choice where I can learn how exactly, the nutrient profiles and things like that. Or I can go into why we aren't doing it, because we generally know. And I decided to go into the psychology of it because that's just more aligned with myself. There will be other people who are more aligned with finding out the nutrient values of the foods and that type of, and those people are just as important. But my side of the nutrition bargain is about who you are as a person, what your goal is in the world, why you're not achieving it, what your dreams are, what your imagination is telling you. All of those kind of really kind of deep, important questions that we don't really think about often enough. You wake up in the morning, you're feeling this kind of a slight depression, or you're feeling a bit locked in or not on your game, and you can just say, well, it's because you can sit and go, oh, it's because I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. So of course I'm going to be feeling like this, instead of saying, oh, I think maybe it's because I haven't done this, or haven't drunk enough water, or maybe I didn't have enough broccoli sprouts yesterday, or you know, we can get too caught up in these very small details, but actually the big perspective is where I like to have a look. So
is that also dealing a lot with your like subconscious mind? Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of our programming sits there anyway, and in all those other sort of multi-dimensional levels that make up ourselves. So would you think it deals with that a lot? Do you go into that? Would you, okay, I hate to use the terms psychoanalyze, but something, you know, explore, use that word explore.
So it's definitely an exploration. If you come and do a session with me, you're going to spend 3 hours here. It's an exploration. It's a little bit intuitive, because that's how I operate anyway, and I think that's how people operate as well, especially in these circles. It's a bit of intuition, and it's a bit of directed exploration into the basis of it. Tan is very interesting. The basis of it is finding where your stress is, and where your stress levels lie is where you need to have a look. That's where the exploring's got to go down, and that's where you can start delving into things like your relationships with your close family, and even just your general relationships, your relationship to food, your relationship to your children, your relationship to your car, your relationship to your dog, you know, everything, these relationships that surround us in this kind of vibratory universe that we live in, they all reflect back at us the things that we are internally either subverting in some degree, or pushing away. And often it's a time, people who will sit in my office, in my garage, will suddenly realize things which I hadn't thought of before. And it's got nothing to do with me. I'm just merely directing them to keep showing them, this is where you're stuck. This is where you're stuck, because I don't have the answers for everybody, obviously. But this is, when I'm intuiting, I can see, okay, you're stuck here, you're stuck here, you're stuck here. What about this? What about, how does this happen for you? How does this happen? What is this relationship like? And they're given the time and the space to be able to just sit with themselves and explore the feelings that they are holding on to. And it's a beautiful process. I really love doing it. I really love my clients. I love the aha moments, and it's a very fulfilling job to do.
It sounds like a very kind and gentle way to approach these things, because, you know, there's nothing worse than getting into self-loathing, which a lot of people do. You know, when you realize, well, I'm not doing, and I should, and I must, and I was meant to, you know, that just all ends up in self-loathing, which is just the most useless thing anyway. So at least this sounds a lot more sensible to me as an approach.
Yes. And, you know, being in this line of work, your
microphone's gone again. Sorry, Sarah. You have to come a bit closer. I don't know what you're doing there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
do you know what
better.
it is? It's crystals. I must move them out the way.
Yeah, move the crystals out the way.
In this line of work, you realize very quickly that problems like, I'm not going to be gentle about this, but things like anorexia, binge eating, purging, those types of eating disorders have roots in such amazing, beautiful belief systems that we brought on board. And those are such interesting things to delve into and to understand about the self. and self-denial. I mean, purging is the extreme self-denial, isn't it? Anorexia is extreme self-denial. And there's various ways that we can work through these really gently and softly and slowly. And because, you know, I think traditionally being able to talk to somebody who has a really awful eating problem, or even someone who just loves to eat chocolate at 12 o'clock at night and doesn't know why, is that there's always a reason. And the reason is always so interesting. And if you get to the bottom of the reason, you don't have to start flagellating yourself and beating yourself over the head. You could even still go and have that piece of chocolate at 12 o'clock at night, but at least you know why you're doing it. And then it becomes you own it. It's the ownership of that person, instead of there being someone that you've got to go and see that says, right, this is how I want you to eat, and this is what I want you to eat, and this is how often I want you to eat, and all these kind of rules, when you've already got yourself into this very big rule game of your own rules, which are, you know, various depending on what type of disorder you have, or eating dysfunction. Overeating is another one, or undereating, or, you know, whatever. So instead of having someone give you more rules, you are able to have a look at yourself and understand why you've made those rules for yourself. And that leads to another set of circumstances where you can look at the relationships around you and start to unravel those relationships and how they affect you. Because at the end of the day, that's why you're doing what you're doing. It's got nothing to do with anything but that. And that's the essence of nutritional psychology.
But also, what about the idea that it's not so much what you're putting into your body, it's what you're thinking about what you're putting into your body. So it's like 20% of it could be the actual component, or the how can I say, the biological structure of what you're putting into your body. But the 80% of your body, you get to decide what that's actually going to do to your body. And I mean, I remember going to like a weight loss program to give talks, and I used to say to these poor people who were on Weight Watchers, it's not a problem, just eat the cake. They would just look at me like, what? Just eat the cake, but just love it. Love the cake. Just tell yourself, oh, this is just feeding my emotions, and it's wonderful, and this is not going to make me fat, so what's the problem? You know, everybody just look. But you know what? The couple of women that tried that, it worked. It wasn't, it was all the thoughts and emotions surrounding the chocolate cake that was the problem, that added on the weight. I mean, this is completely against scientific, although science is, I think, coming on board, and they're realizing that it isn't just that physical stuff.
It's exactly that, Tan, and let me explain the biology behind that, because what you're saying there is exactly how it works, and you've figured this out for yourself and have been able to be in a position to tell people this, but it is how it works. And the reason that it works like that is simple. It's biology, and that's why we do need to go back to science a lot of the time, instead of to the practitioners that we've been used to using, because the science is very clear. If your thought processes change the hormonal reactions in your body, which is what they do. So you have a hormone, you look at a piece of, some people say, I've heard this before, all I have to do is look at a piece of cake and I start putting on weight. It's true. It is the most true thing that you could say. And the reason that happens is because you have conditioned yourself to look at the piece of cake and go, oh my word, that is going to make me not fit into my jeans tomorrow, or whatever it is. Or I need to look good for this specific event and I can't do that. And you've put this belief into your mind that the cake is the enemy. And it's like being on a battlefield. And if you arrive on this battlefield and there's this bunch of cakes like running towards you, and you have to laugh at yourself, because that's what you've told yourself. You've told yourself that cakes are the enemy. I'm using cake as an example, but it can be anything. Pasta can be an example, any food. So what will happen at that point is you will send a cascade of hormones from this belief system, because your emotions translate to hormone changes in your body. That's what happens. So your emotion now of fear translates into your body through this cascade of hormonal reactions. And number one, what happens is that your insulin shoots up. Now, your insulin is a hormone, and your insulin is there for a reason, and your body's doing it for a reason. This is adrenal, fight or flight. But what it also does is it stores energy, because if it uses up all your energy all the time, you're going to run out of run, and you won't be able to run away from the cake for long enough. So it's what it does is it immediately tells your body, right, we're going to be storing every single thing you eat from now on until you stop this fear thing. So immediately insulin goes up. You use your thyroid hormone, T4. Your T4 starts to be used at an excess rate. And essentially, the instructions of fear, there's instructions that you've given your body are, hold on to all the fat, use up all my excess energy, and don't digest anything. That's the other thing. So suddenly you've got this whole cacophony of noise in your body, which is going, whoa, we don't know what to do, everything's happening, and everything just shuts down. So yes, the stress factor is the most important factor for us all to understand. And the other thing that causes us stress is dehydration.
Okay.
Which leads very neatly into the hydration aspect of things. So I think I actually have done this presentation with you before, where I do the 3 surprising pillars of health. And the first one is hydration. And the second one is the brain-body mechanism, which is what I just described with the hormones. And the third one is the microbiome. So let's leave out microbiome and mind-body, because we've kind of gently touched on those already. Okay. But if we go into hydration, what I've done, in fact, what I did for this chat that we're having is I did a little presentation, which I'm just going to go through and then you will be able to download it, I think, Tan, am I right?
Yeah, we can put the link at the bottom, and then everyone can go to your website and look at that.
Okay, so the fascinating thing, this is fascinating. The fascinating thing about hydration is that hydration helps our body to hold and utilize the light from the sun. So we're like plants. We photosynthesize. We're just like an extended plant. We do it in a different type of a way that photosynthesis does. But we essentially are fed by the energy of the sun. And that's our essential factor. So the sun grows plants, we eat the plants. That's one way of getting energy. The sun grows plants, the plants get fed to animals, we eat the animals. So you can see the further down the chain you go, you're imbibing energy from the sun, but you're only imbibing different forms, so plants, animals, whatever. You're eventually getting it, but you're not, and we also stand in it. So standing in the sun, vitamin D, really good way of energizing yourself. But basically what happens is, through exposure to sun rays and through exposure to fatty acids, which help the cell membrane of our bodies, we create these internal cells that are permeable and detox very easily. If we're not, and hold the light around them, sorry. So the photons from the energy of the environment are caught by positive ions on the exterior of our human cells. So even on your skin or inside your body, or every cell of your body has a negative and a positive charge. And it collects the positive charge on the outside of the cell, collects photons in it's called an electron cloud, collects photons, and those photons are what feeds the cell, the DNA. So if you think about the simplicity of that mechanism, hydration of the cell is the most important thing, because the hydration contains the electrolytes, which contain the charge of the cell. So if your cell is not charged correctly, the first thing that's going to happen is going to start clumping with other cells. And the second thing, which possibly could be diseases of all kinds of descriptions. And the other thing that's going to happen is that you're not going to collect the photons on the outside, because the positive ions will not be strong enough to collect the photons of light. So maintaining your electrolyte balance of the cells of your body is one of the primary, most important things that you can do. So basic, and then there's another whole sector to this, okay? If you think about this planet being water, we are the blue planet, right? The water contains messages, kind of cosmic messages. Let's go into that little angle. I wouldn't usually do this with a nutrition client because it's not the angle that they would appreciate, but I know on this kind of a channel it would be something that would be referenced.
I understand.
But what would happen is that we talk about people like Dr. Emoto, who photographed the resonance of water using the crystals, using the frozen crystals. Water brings information from the Akashic into our cellular bodies, into our physical bodies. Water does that. It's the easiest, most straightforward way of collecting information. So ideally, now we're also talking about light photons, which are attracted to the cells of your body, which are now electrolyzed by the water that you've drunk. So you could, at a stretch, say that that's what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is your capacity as a human to be able to hold and utilize the light. And the more light that you utilize, the more you radiate it out, because it's sitting in your body. And isn't that what they're always saying to us, is that it's not about becoming something, it's about allowing something to happen within.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a really important aspect of nutrition, is the hydration aspect. And illness is a direct consequence of dehydration all of the time. In fact, there's actually I don't remember his name, but there's a doctor. I think he was an Indian doctor, and he ran a series of tests. He worked in a prison, and he wrote a book called The Water Cure. So you can also link that. I can't remember.
I've heard about that.
Dr. Bhaji, yeah. And actually, he was rehydrating the prisoners, and they were recovering from the illnesses. And his philosophy was that we're just dehydrated. The problem.
Sorry, Sarah, that I think that his story was also a little bit more. It's not just about drinking water. It's about drinking different temperatures of water at different times of day.
Yeah,
so it's a little bit complicated, but yeah, carry on.
So he would be a great specialist to read a book about.
Yes.
If you had time, was to sit down and read a book like that, because dehydration is solved in a multiple number of ways, which is obviously what he researched I'm not au fait with his research in particular. I just know that it was hydration. But there's another lady called Barbara Wren who did a lot of research, and obviously there's also Joanna Budden. We know about the Budwig protocol, which is a cancer protocol.
Okay.
And she was a German scientist that worked in the laboratories in the States, and she worked with the human cell, and realized that oils, essential fatty acids, were absolutely imperative to health. And the reason that the essential fatty acids were imperative was because they help build the porosity of the cell membrane. So when we're talking about the electrolytes in the cell, the porousness of the cell membrane means that the minerals can move in and out and release the toxicity of the cell, so that the cell doesn't remain acidic. Because we're going into acidity here now. The more you don't detox, the more your cell remains acidic. I think that the presentation that I've done is probably going to make more sense when people look through it.
I know. I think what you've explained there makes a lot of sense to people anyway. It does make sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also comes back to that whole theory of keeping your body in alkaline to avoid or prevent diseases.
Yes. So one of the really cool things as well are cycles. So again, let's go back to the water planet thing. I don't think I finished that. So if you go back to the water planet, the blue planet, we are governed by cycles, and it's a day-night cycle, it's a circadian rhythm, it's a monthly cycle, there's full moon cycles, there's equinox, there's solstice, there's eclipses, there is planetary alignment, there's Schumann resonance, there's zodiac placement, there's all these cycles that actually revolve around water, because the moon is predominantly the cycle. So the moon is very attracted to sodium, which is why the seas recede and come back because of the salt in the sea. So the cycles are very, very interesting. And what happens internally, I mean, I've got lots and lots of information on this, and it's in the presentation if I'm not making myself clear, but let's just start at the first one. The first one is your daily cycle. You have night and day. And this is a very simple one to understand. I'll do one at the bottom and one at the top. So your daily cycle is produced by the hormones that you're producing. So you've got melatonin and serotonin, and you get more melatonin at night so that you can sleep and what have you. So your body is already in the cycle. As nighttime arrives, what happens is that the minerals are taken out of the cells of your body and taken into the lymph and eliminated through the elimination system. So it goes into your lymph, into your blood, into your liver, into your bile, and out. So that's how we detox. So we do that on a daily basis. All of us as human beings are detoxing on a daily basis using electrolytes. So we're using sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Those are the four. And they swap with each other. So calcium swaps with magnesium, sodium swaps with potassium. And each of them, so during the day, if you have a lot of calcium and sodium, which are the two that sit together in the cell, if you have a lot of sodium and calcium in your cell, and the nighttime comes and you have this massive meal and you drink yourself into tears and have some ciggies and whatever else, you go to bed and you don't detox properly because of the acidity in your body and your hydration count. You are going to wake up in the morning still with the acidity in the cell that hasn't been released. And the interesting thing about that is it relates to so many things. For example, calcium, not being able to utilize calcium is something that a lot of women are told that they can't do. But it would be worthwhile checking if you do have enough calcium, but you're not detoxing properly. Because if you detox, the calcium is going to come out and be available in your blood. If you're not detoxing, it's going to be stuck in the cell. And the more calcium that's stuck in your cell, the worse you control your blood sugar levels, which is an aha moment for a lot of people. So,
have you heard about, when we're talking about water, have you heard about this? It's a scientific thing, water implosion. Yeah, so it's a process, and they use technology for it, but it's the same kind of process that when you see water coming from a waterfall, the molecular structure is changing in that water. Okay, so the water at the top of the waterfall is different to the water at the bottom of the waterfall. But now we have technology whereby they, I don't know, I would imagine just like tumble dry kind of the water. And that turns it into a
live water.
Yeah, like a live water that benefits. And now they've started using that in agriculture. And they've realized that you have, you need 20, it benefits the plant. The plant grows a lot better. You know, it grows bigger leaves, bigger stems, bigger in height. It grows quicker. It uses less water. You know, and you kind of think, well, if water is that living entity, because as they also say that water has got a memory, hasn't it? Scientists are telling us that water has got a memory, and that and in the water they can actually pick up everything that's ever existed in the water, which is
amazing.
Which is a bit scary, but it's also, it speaks to what you were saying earlier about us having all of that sort of universal knowledge.
It is.
Exactly, you know, it comes from space, and when we all come from space and stardust and all the rest of it, so the water would have all of that sort of universal cosmic knowledge in it.
Yes. And wouldn't that be amazing if we learned to harness that within our bodies? Because if we did, how much better would the world be if we were all doing that, and we were all understanding that this kind of powerful force that water is, and hydrating light, and how our bodies are utilizing it. We would all be different people. And another interesting thing I want to tell you about water is that in the Chinese 5 elements theory, water relates to the kidneys, and the kidneys in turn relate to fear. So if you think about the context of that, it means that if we're dehydrated, we're going to be fearful. And if we're fearful, we're better controlled. So the more self-power you want in your life, the less fear that you want, the more hydrated you need to be. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's a really kind of out there concept if someone hasn't thought of it before. But if the scientists are to be believed, which is what I do like to try and do, is research using science. And also experience and science, to me, are really important factors. It's something I would like to try for myself. And currently at the moment, actually, here I am right now. This is my hydrogen water, which has got a filter in it, which has got some bicarb in it. So it's really nice pH friendly water. And I've other water as well, which is I infused actually with apple and cinnamon. And I've been juicing a lot. And I just decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to replace a lot of my meals with liquid meals, because to me that makes sense. And I'm going to try and eat a lot more fatty acids and eat less of the things that I know are going to stress me. She says, and I think that's like, I think that to me seems a legitimate approach, and I feel amazing. Yeah, I'll tell you how I feel in another 5 weeks or so.
Well, now I believe that the jug that you showed us, are you selling them, or you importing them?
Yes, I am. Just personally, so if you wanted one, you just get hold of me, and I've got a bunch of them.
All right, perfect.
Another thing that I do sell is coconut water, which is very hydrating.
Okay.
That's at Brookfields.
Okay, great. Anyway, so listen, Sarah, we are going to be kicked off here in a minute. So I just wanted to say, everything that you've discussed today, we're going to put all the links in the bottom so people can research that, have a look at your website, have a look at your products. We never got round to the book, but maybe we'll have to do that another time. And the other thing is, so thank you very much for taking your time, giving us all of those tips and inspiration. I'm certainly going to be trying that. I'm going to also try this liquid diet that you're talking about, because, for me, that's kind of easy, because I'm not a fan of food anyway. So, yeah, I'm certainly going to be doing that.
I think the interesting thing is that a lot of us on this path are less and less inclined to have the heavy foods and those types of things. It's just natural. I think the photon belt that we're going through at the moment, we're 26 year cycle, we're going into the Aquarian age. The photon belt is sending us solar flares the whole time. We literally we intuitively cannot have the very dense substances anymore, and so this kind of an approach, I think, will probably work for lots of people.
I think it's an important thing that you bring up. There's not only do we have daily cycles, but we've got monthly cycles. Our solar system has a cycle, and then we have galactic cycles. And I mean, you talk about the photon belts, and I know I've spoken about this before, but if you go onto NASA website, they tell you that we're actually going through an interstellar cloud. They call it interstellar cloud, which has got a lot more photons, and photons is more, no, they don't talk about photons, they talk about radiation. So photons are just light. Radiation is just light, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah, so I think that, as you say, our bodies are just automatically finding its own alignment, cycles, shifts, and just, and I think this is another reason why all of these information, and you look in the past 5 years, Sarah, it's all about health, it's all about organic, there's just so much, and I honestly think that it must be at least 60% of the planet knows about this stuff.
Yes. I think so. Even if they don't know about it enough to follow a guideline about it, they still intuitively feel it. And the intuition is what you're feeling now with channels like this. It's like, oh, I'm not the only one that feels like I'm not the only one who's decided that I can't eat meat anymore, or those things which are happening to all of us, and none of us are able to have the conversation or don't have the. So the platform that you've done is amazing. Well done, Tania. It's a beautiful platform.
Thank you, and thank you to you, and good luck to you with all of your my vibes. And if people want to get hold of you, just to tell them you do online consulting as well. Yes, so you do international. It's not just local Zimbabwean.
Yes, I will. If you would like to speak to me, we can always find a way.
That's what we like to hear. Always a solution.
I'll have an opinion. Thanks,
anyway, Sarah, thank you so much. Really, I do appreciate you coming on, and good luck. And I'm sure we'll be in touch somewhere down the line on this channel.
Thank you, Tan. It's been fab.
Thank you, I will. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to this. Be sure to check out Sarah. Go to the links below. Also, please, can you just share this? Leave some comments. This is what I've noticed. People are not leaving any comments. And it's such a good way for us to actually have a conversation in the comment section. Because, I've met people from all over the world just by putting comments. And you can strike up conversations. You get a lot more information that way. Also, we want to know what your opinions are, what you think and feel. And we will respond to your comments. So please don't forget to do that. And on that point, thank you, everybody. See you in a week's time, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.